Hello and welcome back to some book reviews. Yes, I am in fact wearing my heated vest underneath my N7 sweater. It's called Fashion. Look it up. Many of you here on this channel may recall that the last thriller I read I found to be a steaming pile of doo-doo. After that, I was determined to find a thriller that I could enjoy, and I happened upon this little supernatural thriller called A House with Good Bones. I didn't have super high hopes, and boy, was I pleasantly surprised. But of course, as I always mention, just because I like something doesn't mean I won't point out the flaws that it has. So if you're one of those people who needs to have negative things in their review to enjoy it, don't worry, I'll find some stuff to gripe about. I always do. And no shame if you're one of those people. I'm actually kind of one of those people too. If a book review is all praise, I'm just less interested. But let's look at the blurb for A House with Good Bones, shall we? Mom seems off. Her brother's words echo in Sam Montgomery's ear as she turns onto the quiet North Carolina street where her mother lives alone. She brushes the thought away as she climbs the front steps. Sam's excited for this rare extended visit and looking forward to nights with just the two of them, drinking boxed wine, watching murder mystery shows, and guessing who the killer is long before the characters figure it out. But stepping inside, she quickly realizes that home isn't what it used to be. Gone is the warm, cluttered charm her mom is known for. Now the walls are painted a sterile white. Her mom jumps at the smallest noise and looks over her shoulder, even when she's the only person in the room. And when Sam steps out back to clear her head, she finds a jar of teeth hidden beneath the magazine-worthy rose bushes, and the vultures are circling the garden from above. To find what's got her mom so frightened in her own home, Sam will go digging for the truth, but some secrets are better left buried. So there are a couple of sort of inaccuracies in this blurb. She doesn't find the teeth just because she's like wandering around the backyard. There's a whole sequence of events that leads to her finding the teeth. That's a little bit disingenuous, but not the biggest deal. And also, the rose bushes are not magazine worthy. In fact, the rose bushes are kind of feral at this point. The rose bushes are a large part of this book. Now, I'm gonna try to not do too many major spoilers because I do want you to go read this, especially if you like supernatural thrillers, and especially if you like voicey main characters. And I will say right away, that was a big draw for me in this book because I have read so many thrillers where the main character is like the same idiot over and over again. It was so nice to meet a character who actually had a personality and interests, but I'm getting ahead of myself. There's like a cat hair on my face and I can't get it off. Annoying. But yes, let's go through our normal things like characters, plot, world building, prose, all of that good stuff. And then hopefully I'll remember at the end I want to add something, which is I want to start to add what we as authors can learn from the book that I'm reviewing, because I know that that is a major thing that people like in my read-alongs, and I don't really touch on it as much in my book reviews because I cannot do read-alongs nonstop on this channel. That is impossible, so hopefully the book reviews will be good enough to tide people over. So characters, like I said, I really liked the lead character. She studies insects in like grave sites, and not like fresh grave sites, like archaeological digs. She studies insects, so she's into bugs, she's into archaeology, she's into like ancient civilizations and stuff, and she's just like, she has such a strong personality. She is very like millennial coded, so if you are Gen Z, you'll probably cringe, but I thought she was great. She's very snarky, she's very snappy, she's very opinionated, and she is a fat character who is never once ashamed that she's fat. In fact, she's like, yeah, I'm fat, fucking deal with it at one point. And I'm like, yes, we need to see it. Can we please have this? I am here for this main character. She is what I was looking for. There were a few times where maybe her quippiness went a little bit too far and I was groaning, but that didn't happen very often. However, do know, if you are prone to dislike a very voicey, very quippy, very snarky character, you probably won't like her because she's those things. But I love those things. I also loved her mother. Oh my god, her mother is basically my mother. So at first I was a little bit concerned reading this book that we were gonna get a mother character who was basically just kind of a zombie and already taken over by whatever entity is going on in this house, but the mom is great. The mom has personality of her own. The mom has likes, dislikes. The mom has a job. She's got a life. She's a fully fleshed out character herself, and it was so nice because like 30-something people still need and love their moms. Trust me, I know. And just like seeing that interaction of an adult woman with her parent, with whom she has an excellent relationship, was so nice and so refreshing, and you like so seldom see that in books. Now, a person that they do not have a good relationship with is her mother's mother, was an old racist bigot. Fortunately, she's dead. Or is she? I told you, this is a supernatural thriller, so I don't think it spoils it too much to know that there are supernatural things happening, and what's going on with the mom character is because of the supernatural things, but it was, like I said, really refreshing to have the mom character have such a strong personality and not be like completely taken over by what's going on. And even though you can kind of guess fairly early what's going on, there are a couple layers beyond what you think it is to keep it interesting. So like once the main character figures out what it is, there's still more. Now, there's also this amazing witch that lives down the street, and her name is Gail, and I remember that just because that is an amazing, perfect name for a witch. And she has a vulture that she rehabbed, and he has a broken wing. She's a wildlife rehabilitator, and she has a vulture who like has a severely broken wing, so he can never be returned to the wild. And he gets to be a character, and you guys know how I feel about animal characters. I love them. All of the characters in this book are so strong, except there is a guy. He's the handyman who comes around to like mow lawns, trim trees, clean gutters, that sort of thing. And he's sort of a pseudo-romantic interest. He never quite gets to the level of romantic interest, and he is the weakest character by far. I almost feel like he was put in later. Like, it feels like the author came to the publisher with this book that stars all women, and they were like, you're gonna have to put a man in it. You have to put a man in it or nobody will read it. And so she crammed this guy in, and he's nice and he's fine. But with so many women with strong personalities in this book, we don't need him, and he gets completely overshadowed. Also, I will say that while I enjoy this as an audiobook, I will say that the audiobook narrator, the voice she chose for the men, not my favorite. It made them all sound a little bit goofy, if that makes any sense. If you're gonna do this as an audiobook, know that going in. The choice was odd, in my opinion. But yes, he's the weakest character. Now, plot. Like I said, I don't want to give too much away, but obviously the main character goes back home to hang out with her mother for a while because she just got like sent off of a job. Like something happened at the job, and like it was the scene was contaminated or something, and so she had to like, she couldn't be there anymore. So instead she's got her work from home assignment with her, and she goes to her mom's house to like hang out with her mom and just vibe in a way that only adults with the parents that they get along with vibe. But like, she and her mother were doing exactly the same things that me and my mother do. So fucking relatable. So she gets there and everything is off because her mother, like my mother, has a very eclectic style, and previously all the rooms in the house had been painted vibrant colors and there's beautiful art on the walls, and instead when she gets there, everything's been painted white and beige, and her mom has hung up a racist painting that her grandmother used to like, and our main character is like, that is odd. So they hang out for a while, she gets her to take down the racist painting, and slowly supernatural things start to happen. But here's the thing. You know how I always say that I hate in supernatural thrillers how quickly the main character is just okay with the fact that it's definitely supernatural, especially if there could be logical reasons for the thing that's happening? This book is the opposite of that. It basically takes until the main character is literally face to face with a supernatural force. In fact, not basically, it takes that long. Until she is in the room with a supernatural being, she does not believe that it's supernatural. She is skeptical to her core because she is a scientist, and she's like, there is a logical explanation for all of this, everything's fine. And so that was a really cool change from what I am so used to in supernatural thrillers, where the main character tends to go, oh, it's ghosts. And I have always believed in ghosts for some reason, and I am fine with this. Instead of, no, there's got to be some kind of logical explanation. We may have taken it a little bit too far just for a fiction book. Like at a certain point, you might get a little bit frustrated with her and be like, ma'am, Miss Ma'am, there is very clearly something supernatural going on here. You cannot keep telling yourself that this is normal. But it does make sense that she would think that. Overall, the plot does a good job of moving the way that a thriller plot normally does, so a lot of setup and kind of a slow roll to begin, and then the ending just like things are happening. Holy shit, the characters are in danger. I will say that when we got to the ending, even though there's maybe not quite as much explanation as I might like, and things just kind of happen, at the same time there are elements of zombie scenarios in it, and you all know that I love zombie stuff, so like those elements, they made me happy and let me forgive kind of how abrupt the ending happened. I mean, that's thrillers, that's kind of how they do. It can feel a little abrupt, and I did see some like critiques of it when I was looking at other people's reviews of them being like the ending was really like fast and things just happened, and I'm like, yeah, I can understand that, even though I did enjoy the ending, and in fact enjoyed the whole book. How's the world building? Immaculate. We've got witches, we've got other supernatural things happening, and we've got a vulture. What more could we ask for? The only thing that confused me was I really didn't quite understand what was the setting for the mom's house, because it seemed like they were like out in the middle of nowhere, because the main character never had like any bars on her phone or internet signal, and she seemed to think that that was normal. She wasn't like, oh mom, why don't you have any internet signal at your house? She was like, ah, well of course not, because, you know, and I assumed that was because mom lives way out in the boonies. But at the same time, it seemed like mom lived in some sort of cul-de-sac with very nearby neighbors. And so I was confused, where is this house located that it is both far enough away that it would be normal for them not to have like good internet and phone signal, but also have super close by neighbors in like a little neighborhood situation. That part confused me. That's like my one world building nitpick. It wasn't clear.
I do want to say, I guess this matters for some people, but do know that if you are icked by bugs, by insects, then you might want to avoid this book, because there are a lot of insects in it, and I really enjoyed those sequences, but some people might be completely icked out by them. So know that going in.
So yeah, those are my thoughts on A House with Good Bones, but now let's talk about what we as authors can learn from this book. Well, first of all, I want to mention...
Annoyingly, my camera cut me off here. What I say is, if you liked A House with Good Bones,
you will probably like my upcoming novella called Second Floor. It is also a supernatural thriller and is also very, very character-oriented. So if you like stuff that is a little bit more like character-based, like this book, you probably like my book. So hey, I found a comp title for Second Floor, hooray! But what can this book teach us? Well, I do think that this is a really excellent example of how to write a character with a personality and a voice. Now yes, the snarky girl is kind of one of the personalities that we see the most, but I think when you couple that with her love of insects and her dogged determination to find logical explanations for things, I think that really makes her a very strong and believable character. I love that she's just not the classic thriller heroine who's just bumble-fucking her way around, making every wrong possible decision. You see her thought process, you understand why she's doing things, and it makes logical sense with the personality that has been set up. So if you're looking to write a thriller with an interesting lead character, I would consider checking out this book.
The other thing I wanted to do is talk about what this book did poorly that we could learn from, and I think the thing that it did the most poorly, like I mentioned earlier, was in setting the scene. It was never completely clear, to me anyway, maybe it was to other people, but to me it was never completely clear where exactly the grandmother lived, in like what sort of setting exactly she lived in, because it seemed to contradict itself. So setting the scene better, even when you're writing a contemporary, is a good lesson that we can take away from something I feel like this book didn't do as well.
Don't forget that you can support me on Patreon, and also that I'm a developmental editor. You can hire me now on Fiverr. And of course, check out my channel for other book reviews. I have a ton of them here, so if you liked this, you might like some of my other ones. There's a playlist. You know what to do. And I will see all of you again next time with whatever it is I happen to be doing next time. Bye!
I'm sorry, not sorry about what I said. Don't lose your head.
You want to know what else I'm not sorry about? My patrons, and listing them off every time because they're awesome. Patrons like Ruin, Queen of Oblivion, SB Boots, Martha Baggins, July, Bird Anonymous, Sunnyshine, Nico, Sarah, Cat, 78 Kilograms of Shade, Veda, Ingrid, Roma, Pansing Pony, Julius the Nice Dragon, Haley, Sam, Kira, Kohikaro, Mooney, Maria, Kirsten, Bear, Jojo Bookish, Robin, Ursula, Caitlin, KJ Lafone, Amanda, Celia, Alyssa, Rita, Deborah, Afra, Melissa, Swamp Goblin Waifu, Ashley, Sophia, Marween, Jane, Kit, Hidden Glade, Light Julie, Belle, Anne Sophie, Callison, Ray, Shelby, Zaire, Jesper, Rennie, Scribbling Cat, Savvy, Jenny, Amanda, Lisa, and Sarah. Sorry, not sorry. They're all awesome.